Let's bring in now retired U.S. Vice Admiral Robert Harward. He's a member of the Iran Policy Project at the Jewish Institute for National Security of America and former Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command. He's joining me now live from the UAE. Sir, it's good to have you with us this hour. As we look at how everything is playing out, is it clear to you who is controlling the Strait of Hormuz right now?
Well, the flow out of the Strait of Hormuz is controlled by the U.S. Navy. There's no doubt of that. But the fact that commercial shipping is still concerned about the threat from Iran limiting that flow is indicative of the control both the U.S. and Iran has on passage through the straits at the moment.
As we watch how this is,
why that is so critical to the negotiations.
Absolutely, and as we watch how all of this is playing out. What is fascinating is what we're hearing from the Trump administration, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth repeating this morning that we have all the time in the world, right? Quoting the president saying we're not anxious for a deal. When you look at this, especially in light of new reporting from CNN that the military stocks have been significantly depleted for the United States, and there are concerns about what would happen if there was another conflict in the next few years, does the U.S. in fact have all the time in the world?
Well, time is on their side. There's no doubt about it. The economic pressure Iran is feeling is highlighting the problems they have internally. I think that adds to this negotiations. Do you want to be the guy who concedes these and it becomes the fall guy for the regime in Iran? So there's a lot internal strife going on in Iran right now that highlights the strength of the U.S. team and their negotiations. So they don't have all the time in the world, but they have time. And I believe more time than the Iranians do based on the financial problems they're experiencing.
When we look at how things are playing out, we heard also from Secretary of Defense Hegseth today talking about how he wants to see Europeans step up. This is, of course, not the first time that he said this. We've heard similar comments from President Trump as well. I want to play a little bit of what he had to say this morning.
Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades, but the time for free riding is over. We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat. This is much more their fight than ours.
Europe and, of course, much of the region obviously feeling the impact more acutely in this moment than the United States. Of course, the United States and Israel started this war without consulting their allies. What do you see as Europe's role in this moment?
Well, the history in the region has always been a combination and coalition of willing actors. When you saw the piracy actions in the Straits and through the Bab al-Mandab with the Somali pirates, everyone collaborated and worked together. I think oil has been a driving factor in the region for years, and there's always been collaboration on that. So right now, that's not in place. And there are things the Europeans can do. You could man ships, contracted support with ships to provide arms to ensure their straight passage. So I can sense the frustration, and it's real. And I'd be surprised if ultimately our European partners don't get involved in one way or another. Maybe not collectively on a kinetic activity, but more in a defensive posture. So again, we'll have to see if Iran comes to the table on negotiation or this situation drives on, and that will dictate the Europeans' involvement in the not too distant future.
There is some cautious optimism, just the fact that you do have both sides, in Islamabad, if you will, or will be this weekend. You are there in the region. What are you hearing? What is the sense about that potential cautious optimism there?
Everything's very quiet at the moment, but everyone's looking forward and hoping there's going to be a long-term solution. The problem for the Iranian government, any of those capitulation puts them at threat internally. So that's why I think the dynamics are going to be so enlightening this weekend to see how they come to the table and whether they're willing to give up on either control of the Straits or the nuclear weapons program that they've been insistent that they have a right to legitimately enrich uranium, and we all know that's only for a program. So can they capitulate on any of those components? And if so, that presents a dilemma for them back in Tehran. So everyone here is cautious but optimistic some either or of those two conditions can be met by the government in Iran.
Retired U.S. Vice Admiral Robert Harward, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you.